So going heavy in game number 1 on both sides, although MK plus Gob Giant maybe just a little bit heavier. And now we see our Evo Archers coming out.
Archers on the board, so Faust actually opted to use the best evolution. First round here, we'll see what Higher has in response for those.
Skelly Drags plus Goblin Gang, is this gonna get a little recruity in here? Oh my gosh, it's a Mortar.
Mortar at the bridge, Tesla at the bridge to counter that. Tesla does a great job here, looking like a Hog Earthquake versus some sort of Mortar spam deck here.
Yeah, I mean, Mortar, whatever, you won my heart already.
Pigs at the bridge, not Hog, Pigs. We see these Spear Gobs come down to defend that. He needs something else, and he goes Barb Split. Somehow, I can't help but think that was maybe a slight mistake.
Yeah, Barb Split here. Spear Goblins trying to be in tow on both sides. Looks like Barbarians will sneak in front on both. Nice arrows there to deal with the Archers, but this should be a nice cleanup with the delivery coming in here for Faust. Maybe able to control this game a bit.
And we see his spells really playing a huge factor here. That delivery is going to get a lot of value versus Barbs, Skeleton Drags, even the Goblin Gang. And those arrows, though, going to make the Archers get a lot less value in general.
And Juice, I'm just really kind of thrown off by this deck at the top of the screen. I mean, we haven't really seen anything like this at CRL for, I mean, maybe ever?
Yeah, I mean, Barbarians, Mortar, Miner. I'm interested to see that last card. If it's not another spell, the Evil Archers could get a lot of value.
It's Clone.
Of course, yeah. And yeah, the Archers, when they're in the evolution form, though, they do not take damage enough for the arrows to clear them off the board.
Yeah, and that is a huge part of this. So we'll see how Higher is going to deal with that as these Evo Archers kind of just go off to no man's land, but that makes sense, you know, at this moment, just trying to cycle them, see if you can turn that into anything. And then, of course, the next thing you got to do is cycle right back to them.
Tesla doing a great job of cleaning up ground and air. This game is extremely close, just by a few HP. Faust down a bit of elixir here. Let's see what Higher does with the elixir advantage.
Really just am so curious to see what Higher, and I'm sure Faust is as well, to see. And there we go, a Monk coming down. So a very odd deck, but hey, you got a little bit of Miner Mortar bait. I'm not too angry about it. You got the Monk in there to deal with the Archers because you have to expect that you're gonna see them, and now you got that 3-card cycle conversation. So Monk here, not gonna use the ability quite yet. Gets across the bridge.
Ability, gonna tank for the Miner. It's also going to allow this to get a lot of chip. It's so crazy how much damage a Monk plus Miner push can do when popping the ability at the right time.
You know, so many people were talking about Higher and Not Afraid and what they were gonna play here, and maybe they didn't know what was popular in the meta, but there's another side to that conversation. If you don't have a lot of game tape on your opponent, you have no idea. I mean, no one in the world would have expected this deck to come out in game number 2 from Higher. I mean, especially not Faust. You wonder if his analyst even would get close to something like this, and I just can't imagine that.
Skelly Drag locking on tower, bring this left side tower below 1,000 HP. We have a massive counter push on the right as well. Higher doing a fantastic job of applying a dual lane pressure, but also focusing his arrows on one side of the map for optimal damage on the side that he really wants to go for.
So Faust kind of fighting for his life here, down a game in set number 2. And also down a lot of HP here as no other set of piggies come across the board. One Hog sneaks away, and Spear Goblins plus that Skeleton Dragon to clean it up. 1488 to just below 900.
Miner coming in. Skeletons do pick up. Tesla's doing its best to deal with everything, but that Skelly Dragon is once again a threat.
And you have to go high Tesla there, and that is really tough in terms of an elixir expenditure here from Faust. Delivery in as well. Down just a couple. Once again, we'll see, as you said before, Juice, how Higher wants to take advantage of that. He's been doing a great job of it so far.
Okay, Mortar off lane. He's going to immediately take the opportunity to go for the piggies without a Mortar being able to pull. These pigs will do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Maybe some sort of comeback can happen here.
Look at that. Piggies in. That is a huge comeback, Juicy. Down to 32. You are in an EQ cycle spot, and Faust might have just evened things up.
Evil Archers die. Is the Mortar locked on tower, though? No, it is not. It's on the Tesla. Miner getting a lot of chip. Delivery going to drop down. This game is so close.
Great job by Faust there to know he needs to play defense. Now a high Mortar here that needs to be addressed. Skeletons come out to distract. It's on the recruit. Log comes in. He just needs another spell. Miner on the tower.
The Ice Ripples Archers do pick it up.
There we go.
And the Earthquake takes it. GG's Higher with a 2-0 sweep.
And a wonderful come from behind victory here for Faust as we are hopping into game number 3, bowling. Shout out to the crowd here.
What do you think about the bowler? I mean, he's coming to the meta because of the Little Prince, but I can't stand it.
I've hated Bowler for 6, 7 years now, but I'll be honest, I definitely am going to rock him because he's everywhere. And look at that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get into fortune telling, Juice.
I mean, you called it. Bowler really going to get some decent value just in general. It's like we talked about. It's a magic archer that doesn't die to a rocket. Maybe he can line up here and hit this firecracker.
Yeah, and fascinating too. You know, you think Faust, we talked about him being beat down. He goes really heavy in game number 1, doesn't work out for him. Then in game number 2, he speeds things up. And a really interesting NATO. Juice, talk to me, man.
I mean, I don't know. It's just a late NATO. Maybe those nerves are getting to Faust at this point. If he played a little bit sooner, maybe he could have dealt with that firecracker, but maybe he just underestimated that Mighty Miner as well.
So a huge blow here to start. And now Recruit's coming down in the back. So Recruit baits at the top of your screen. And I don't know if we're going to have a big spell here at the bottom.
If it is a spell, it's probably going to be a freeze. It kind of looks like a Graveyard Freeze deck. We talk about it all the time, how well the freeze synergizes with that Inferno Dragon. As long as the Inferno Dragon is locked on the tower with 1 HP, a freeze can be a complete game changer.
And Mighty Miner coming out. We've also started to see just a little bit more Mighty Miner these days, with this bowler not doing any favors for Faust, giving a lot of damage away. And now, of course, Mighty Miner, we just talked about him, he's up front there, not getting pushed back by that boulder. And this firecracker is so frustrating to deal with when you don't have that spell, Juicy.
You know, we talked about Boulder, but I want to talk about that Firecracker like you're saying, because the Firecracker gets so much value versus all Boulder decks. Not only does it outrange the Boulder, but every single time the Boulder is going to lock on to get that shot, it knocks itself back further and further, always making sure it's out of range.
And what an interesting deck. We got Wall Breakers, we got Goblin Barrel, we got Rascals, and of course, or Royal Recruits, excuse me, and of course that Mighty Miner. Let's see how Faust can be able to keep up with this bait deck and when he's finally going to be able to find himself on offense.
Dark Goblin plus Fireball dealing with double dragons left inside. Really well played from Higher. It seems like Faust is having a very hard time dealing with these high range units.
And Bowler here going to get some damage in on those Wall Breakers.
Knight putting in the work. Bowler putting in work as well. Bar Barrel perfectly placed to deal with the Goblin Barrel.
So feeling like Balloon probably coming out here with E-Dragon in play. You never really want to have that when you're playing Graveyard. Obviously that King Tower activation becomes something that you really cannot deal with. You've said it so many times, Juicy. I've watched you on your stream. King Tower is activated, game is over basically. So just waiting to get on offense is Faust as of right now, but the pressure from Higher has been relentless. There's the freeze, so we know we're just waiting on when that Loon will come out. But a decent amount of air responses is in Higher's hands.
Mighty Miner down, 3-card cycle activated, E-Dragon in the back. You know, we talked about how the Firecracker and the Dark Goblin is getting high value here, but we are not talking about how it's extremely hard for Faust to, or for Higher to break through as well versus that E-Dragon the Bowler. Yeah,
I mean, and this is the thing, is how long can Faust hang on and then turn it in? I mean, once we get past this next 23 seconds, we get into triple elixir, maybe not. Maybe he heard me and he goes, all right, I need to get back on offense. We're running out of time. Just barely over. 70 seconds remain, and the cannon finally comes out here. So you've got a Dark Goblin, you've got a Firecracker, and you have a cannon to control this. And honestly, you got the Mighty Miner and the Fireball if you need that pushback or so, a little bit of extra DPS. So Faust's gonna have to do some math, figure something out here in the next 58.
58 seconds, triple elixir time. Look at these Firecrackers, Andrew. Firecracker controlling the board completely here, and the Goblin Barrels are always forcing out the Bar Barrel. Without the Bar Barrel, how do you deal with the Firecracker as well as the Wall Breakers and everything else?
One of the most frustrating things to deal with in this game are those Firecrackers and Dark Goblins stacking up on the other side of the board and just not having a way to get to them. You see Faust leaking elixir here and there because I don't think he knows exactly when to send and what to send.
NATO plus E-Drag, but it's not enough. And the Dark Goblin cleans everything up. I don't think Faust can break through.
I mean, it really doesn't seem that way. And as I said, Higher doing a really great job of keeping up the pressure. So now Faust is kind of forced to do what the only thing you can do, which is take damage from that barrel so you can actually get back on offense. So a decent push on the left-hand side. This push on the right really isn't going to go anywhere. And I don't think it's enough time. So a great come from behind victory in game number 2. But Faust still going to be sent down to the lower bracket, and he will be facing Mo Light later on today.
GG's. I mean, Higher,